Welcome to the Candid Conversation Show. I'm your host, Marilyn Fontaine, artist and creative coach for women who want success and income with ease. Hi everyone, welcome to episode 3 of our third season. And today I'm going to talk about rhythms. I'm also going to talk about oracle cards actually as well. So I'll just be really transparent. I had a block. It's been really a funny week. So I've had a block in terms of the business. My godfather had a funeral, so I'm okay about that. It was a lovely send off, and we've also had the Queen, who's passed, and I think that made everybody, whether you support the Queen or not, the monarchy or not, I think it tapped into the collective grief. Plus we've got Mercury retrograde, and so I do feel that the Queen's passing and the subsequent passing of my godfather and him getting buried really made me connect to some old grief that needed to be released. Also, because I'm doing this trauma-informed course, I'm feeling things a lot more because they're being felt to be released. So, this is a feelings teaching, personal development, spirituality podcast for business women, but it's really interesting that we some people shy away from emotions, but what we're shying away from is just the part which is really uncomfortable, and that does pass, but at the time it feels like it's not going anywhere. And so I feel like that's happens with grief. I think that it's about your window of tolerance. We can only tolerate some emotions, so we push them down. And it's a real skill that we have, that we push our feelings down. And so when we have somebody like the monarchy or somebody that's famous that passes, everybody is able to express all the other grief that they wasn't able to express before. And I do have a podcast on that as well, about grief, back in season 1. So I actually really love those podcasts, the first season, because I feel like they really speak to what we're going through now. So if you do have a chance, go back to season 1, and they're all really personal, emotional kind of podcasts. But which leads beautifully into today's topic, which is rhythms. So I was blocked because of this grief thing, and I just thought, what am I going to do the podcast on? Normally I have a list and ideas, and also had guests lined up, and none of these guests could make it, which is really weird. So Spirit is telling me that it's about me imparting information before I start having my guests on again. So that's something I've had to let go of and allow to happen. But rhythms, I was thinking about cycles before. I wrote about it in my newsletter. If you're not joining the newsletter, you need to join, because more of this stuff comes up. But also, so I picked a card. I thought, what am I going to do? And I thought, do you know what? I feel called to speak about my oracle cards and how I use them in my business and my life. Anyway, so I thought, let me select a goddess card. So it's the Goddess Cards by Amy Sophia Marashinsky. Please forgive me, Amy Sophia Marashinsky, because I might have pronounced your name wrong, but your cards have been my lifeline. And so I was first introduced to these cards by my mentor, Anna Ziman, which I spoke about in Diary of a Healer. And I use them in my circles. I used to use them with my clients. I use other cards now with my clients, but I tend to use them for myself. and they're just so spot on. Anyway, so I pulled Morgan Le Fay, who is a Celtic goddess. So this oracle pack and deck has all the goddesses of the world, and this was one of the groundbreaking goddess oracle decks, I believe, because you've got so many now, but this was out when people weren't really using oracle decks. They was using more tarot cards, and so it was the first of its kind, and it was illustrated by Harana Janto. I probably pronounced that wrong as well, but anyway, beautiful illustrations of the divine feminine. Anyway, so I pulled Morgan Le Fay, and that card is rhythm. So I'll read the meaning of the card. And Morgan Le Fay has come dancing. Let me just see if I can say pronunciation. Okay, there's no pronunciation because every card has a pronunciation, which I think is really considered. But More means sea, and Fay is fairy and the fates. So, really prominent right now. So Morgan Le Fay has come dancing into your life with her rhythms and her magic to invite you to discover and live your rhythms. What are your personal rhythms? Do you know the best time for you to exercise, sleep, eat, be creative, make love, work, etc.? Or do you spend all day vitally adjusting to the rhythms imposed on you by your work, family, lover, friends? Have you been submerged in the life of another and lived his or her rhythms instead of your own? Perhaps you never discovered your own rhythms because you wanted to please those around you and be one of the team. It is vital for you to live according to your rhythms. Flowing with your rhythm brings you greater energy because you're no longer suppressing what is natural to you. Morgan Le Fay says vitality, health and wholeness are nurtured when you flow with your own unique beat rather than against it. And there is a suggestion of a ritual or meditation for you to do. But I wanted to read that because this is such an important reading today, because it tells me where I am in terms of rhythms, and I'm feeling autumn in my bones, and I'm feeling the slowing down. I'm feeling the return to, cozy blankets, cocoa. I don't have cocoa actually, I have cacao sometimes, but nice tea, chai lattes, and just snuggling up. But, movement of the body, feeling embodied. I feel really connected to the feminine energy around autumn, winter, more than any other season. Spring is maybe again, that's a feeling, and early summer, but that's more about the other. That's more about partnership to me. Whereas the winter, as much as we call it cuffing season, I really feel a connection to the divine feminine because it's yin, it's going inward. And so in this season of autumn, which is dealing with the lungs and the large intestines, and that means about processing and letting go. Lungs is also related to grief in Chinese medicine. I feel a great release of this desire, which I had in the first beginnings of the month, to run and perform and run and do all these things. I intentionally did this with my business at the beginning of the year, where I was driven, because that was the energy. That's how it felt. That was my rhythm. It was really masculine, but it felt really important that I did that. I was driving. But within me, I felt it started to get too much. And the voice kept saying, you need to do your art, pull back, do your art, pull back. Because I think that it became a trauma response. So even if I was doing well, I feel like my energy was a trauma response. And as you all know, I'm getting tested for ADHD. So common, so many people are getting tested. And I know some people say, well, everybody's got ADHD these days, but actually, maybe the statement is everybody is now not having to deal with feelings of shame or feeling less than, and they're actually normalizing something that a huge percentage of the population has, and it's come on through trauma. They say hereditary, but I love the work of Gabor Mate, and his book on ADHD, and I advise everybody to read it. But it's a case where our world is not correct, and therefore we're going to demonstrate the effects of that incorrectness of this world that we live in. So 55, I'm getting to see if I have this ADHD, which my sister has and my niece has anyway. But anyway, I'm digressing. And so with the cars, with rhythms, I felt like I just this drive to do my business, you know, to put it out there, to be out there, to put out content, to really be on the line. And naturally I started to slow down, and I knew this was coming when I had my break. And then when I went to my break, it was like that full stop of that particular chapter, and I felt the goddess call me, or the feminine energy call me, especially doing these trauma calls and doing the pelvic care work that I'm doing with Rebecca Davis, an amazing osteopath. And I feel really in my body. I feel confident. I feel calm. I feel that I do want to pivot inwards, because I've looked at the trauma responses that have been driving me, alongside me owning and being really standing in my power in regards to my business, and showing up and saying this is how much I'm worth and this is what I'm offering. I mean, that has been phenomenal for me. But now it's like balancing slightly, pulling back now. And this is what happens when, you know, like a plane, it goes off course and then it goes to the other side and then it finds a balance in the middle. I'm now finding this balance of asking for what I want and claiming my seat of power, and now pulling back and being able to relax and knowing that everything is going to come to me that I need. And when I do this, I did it last year, but I had an exhibition at the time, and I was starting to think about what I'm going to do, and I was painting to get this exhibition done for Black History Month, but I still pulled back. And I think in the month of November, I think October, September, between September and November, I didn't really have clients. No, I had a few clients. But it was in transit, like finishing off, people starting. Yeah, I was end of September, between September to November, there was no clients. It was just art, or one or two clients, I would say. And then I did my exhibition, so everything was taken up. So the clients was tricking over, but I wasn't focused on content or nothing like that. And then December hit. End of November was my biggest month. The amount of money I made, it's like, was ridiculous. And I didn't have no input in that. And that taught me that everything is rhythms and cycles and things build up. And so it wasn't just because I pulled back and concentrated on the art that clients came in. It was a cumulative effort of showing up, doing work, preparing, getting my mind right, the preparation of the artwork, raising my vibration, all these things. And my mum was over, and just being in the love of family and community, I think that really helped. And so with cycles is, you know, it's really important, especially for people that have got businesses, your coaches, your healers, your change makers. You know, you don't have to do what other people are telling you to do. Yes, it's really important to have a strategy. And that's what I offer in Highly Capable Creative program, is a strategy of some sort. but it's to your rhythm. And I've always said this, and I've said this in the challenge, you know, when we do the Income to Idea challenge, is you find your rhythm. You find your rhythm that works for you. Because that will really help you. That will dictate how much money that you would get. I made nearly 10,000 in a week just following my own strategy and doing me. And I really think that's important. I didn't do a challenge during that time, funnily enough. Is that a word? You know, I didn't do a challenge that time. What I did do, I was out in the world talking to people. And I offered them up a consultation. So it wasn't via my social media. That's not to say I don't get people from my social media, because I do. But that time I made in that week was all people that I'd met or had been referred to me. So it's really important to stay and to stay in your rhythms, because I do feel that the online space is brilliant. And it's a world of possibilities, and it's really important to follow steps. So, for example, if you want to show up more and be seen and get people notice you, if you're not going out and meeting people and speaking to people, then social media is the place. But it's what place? Instagram may not be good for your product, but Facebook may be good for your product, despite the algorithms. TikTok might be good, or LinkedIn, or blogging, or a newsletter. It just depends where your people are. But I think I heard someone say, I think it was Susie Ashworth, a coach, saying that I forgot the name she made it, but sometimes people look at something that you do. They'll go on Instagram, then they'll go LinkedIn, then they'll go on Facebook. They'll look at all the different things, the places where you are, and then make a decision somewhere. And if I tend to look at someone's Instagram website or website Instagram, I don't know why, but it just gives me a good total look on that person. So because I think, again, we are trained, we're conditioned, and Instagram has conditioned us, you know, so, and, you know, companies will look at your Instagram, you know, I mean, so much different things, but I think it's really important to understand the rhythms that you have, but also still have a working system. So it's not it's not having a rhythm where I'm going to nap. I'm not going to nap for a few weeks. I'm not going to do any work. No, it's to create a system that even though you have a rhythm, that system works. And that system really starts in your mind. It starts in your mind and your body. And when I mean your mind, I mean the whole thing. So before you know what your cycles are, what do I need to do to make this easy for myself? Okay, I know that the winter's coming up. I'm going to feel like this. I know it's my slowing down. So for me, I know it's artwork, Black History Month, all different things around that. So I know what my levels of energy are. And that's why I go ham in spring and summer. So I know I prepare for that, so that it just works for itself. By that time, people have known me. I've done a lot of PR. I've done a lot of posting. It's sort of like has a trickle effect. It's like the harvest. And so I really try to watch that. But also, the most important thing is I check my emotions. I check how I'm feeling. And when you start getting whispers in your head, this isn't right. I don't want to do this. This doesn't feel right. It's because something is speaking to you that it's not for you to do. I was going to make an investment. I had 4 or 5 different programs laid out of what investment I wanted to make. One of them was a marketing course. The other one was a sales course. This is alongside my trauma-informed course that I'm doing now. There was one about building creating a membership program. And then there was one about just creating a heart-centered business. So remember, I've been going on fire. But my inner self said to me, go where what makes your soul sing or come alive and what is in your rhythm right now. And so I chose the Heart-Centered Business course, mastermind, because I really wanted to feel my own self-connection, my connection to nature and the slowing down. And I felt like the other courses may have been brilliant for me, but my soul knows, my intuition knows. And it just felt right. It took me a month or two to invest in this. And they're not cheap courses, what we would call cheap. They're value for money. In fact, I think this one's cheap because it's really, what's in it is so beautiful. The feeling of comfort and care, I feel that's happening with this. It's really it's really beautiful. So for me, it suits this rhythm. And just because there's loud noises and bells and whistles on the internet and people are telling you to do all these things, go with what feels right for you. Go with what feels right for you inside, like your rhythm, how you feel about it, what time of the year, like what is your cycle, what is happening with you. And these are for my trailblazing clients, because as a trailblazer, you would already be out there and creating a system already and being consistent within your business or consistently showing up. And when I say consistency, what people don't understand, when you can automate stuff and you can have a mindset of, I'm going to make this as easy as possible. Like with this podcast, I record it on the iPhone and I upload it to Audacity and publish it. I could give it to a podcast producer. That probably would be easier and everything. But this is just really quick. I don't need to do that at this stage of my business because I just want to get it out. I've got a VA now who's amazing. And she's just been so good managing my brain for me as well. And so I write my newsletter from my heart. But there's other stuff she does now. And it just frees me up to paint and be creative and just breathe. So there's certain things that you want to do that keeps the consistency. But the main thing is that if you are a freelancer, a go-getter, then contract out certain things so you can be doing your craft. And also, if you are, contract out so you can be doing your craft. Like, get an assistant if you need to. Or if you're at home and you're having to clean your house, get a cleaner, even if it's once a month. I don't have a cleaner. I need to have one. If you hate washing dishes, get a dishwasher. I know that people talk about all these things, it's lazy. No, because your time is really important, because that time you could be resting. When we rest, we can be open to more, and we need space to dream and visualize. Note to self, so it's really important knowing your rhythms are, and unless you're investing in a coach, don't just go by what people are saying on social media unless you have a relationship with that particular person, which means you're on their newsletter and you're seeing what they're doing. You've bought a program off them. You've had them speak somewhere else. Because if you don't really have a relationship with what somebody's saying on social media, you're not getting a real insight into who that person is. And this is really important because I've done so many free challenges to see where I'm going to invest my money. And I've realised that what I felt about the person when they've done these challenges to what they say on social media are two different things. And so it's really important that we allow ourselves to connect with these people on all levels. Your body will hold all sorts of things. And as much as we work on the mind, if your body is still holding on to old traumas, you're going to have a traumatic response to that. And that could be fight, flight, fawn, or freeze. And so if you are watching somebody on social media and they say something a certain way, like if I said, like, you must do this, your body hearing that word, it may have an immediate response somatic response because it may remind you of a parent or teacher. And so you could either think, oh, sod this, I'm not bloody doing this. I don't like, I'm switching off. Or I'm logging off. Or you could say, actually, let me sign up because Marilyn is telling me to do X, Y, and Z. Not because you're pulled to, you desire it. It's because you feel like your stress response is saying you must do it. You'll sign up to the newsletter. Or I may say, you have to, you've got to post on Instagram dancing. Like, you've got to be dancing. You've got to do dancing reels. And you really feel uncomfortable. But you do it because you are fawning, you're people pleasing. Then that is going against your natural rhythm. Because you may not want to do that. You may just want to be introverted. Because of that's how you're feeling in your body. And you may want to write instead. Or you may want to go out there and go to networking events where you can have a coffee and talk to people rather than show up on social media. Because everybody you know is watching and it triggers you. So really, really, really important for you to understand that your rhythm is your rhythm. I'm an introvert, I'm an extrovert, I'm both. I did a Myers-Briggs and I came out being an introvert, which is really shocking for me. Right, I need to do it again. But it's this time that I'm in at the moment, it's very introspective. Post-pandemic, very introspective. So I just want to sit with my rhythm. And it's really important that we do that. And that you find your rhythm in your business. And so if you find that you don't know what your rhythm is and you really need help, drop me a line. Contact me via my email, info@mjfontaine.co.uk, in the show notes. Because you may just need it. I'm offering some strategy sessions actually. And you may need to join a program, highly capable creative program, but you also may need just a strategy session just to find out what your rhythm is, because you may not need a whole strategy. You may just need just a single appointment. Because to be honest with you, once we know the basics, we can work with that. And so I will also be posting some more stuff on the newsletter as well. But I was just thinking, just in my thoughts, and I've got a strategy session booked with somebody. It's a 90-minute session. And there's also VIP days I offer. So it's a whole day and you're looking at your whole business. But something came to my mind is that most of the time, we just need time and we just need to bounce off ideas with somebody just to get us to the first step. And I find the noise of social media can distract us, especially Instagram, because of the way the algorithms work. I mean, I will look at a post and I'll be shopping the next minute. So I think that is really important for you. One thing I really think would be really good is that go for a walk and just ask yourself, what is my favourite season? When is my energy a lot during the day? When I need to rest, why is it I can't rest? Or what's stopping me from resting would be a better question. And you'll be able to find out what is going on in your head. Because a lot of the times, we will say to ourselves, and I will do that, and I have to do work on, I have to question myself, oh, I can't rest because I have to do this thing. And then when I ask myself, well, why do you have to do that? Because I need to market. Why do you need to market? Can you not just rest? And then I realised it's just a script. It's just a stress response of fighting to get somewhere. So I leave you with that. Just take a walk, lunchtime or in the evening, in the morning. Just ask yourself, when is my best time of the day? What's my best time of the year? Like what happens with my business during the autumn? What happens with my business during the spring and summer? You know, what is my business energy like? And just jot these things down. And then you get to see what happens with you around that time. You know, and lastly, I'll leave you this introspective question, which I asked myself. In what season, in what season does the heart of your business reside? So, for some people, the heart of their business may reside at the beginning of the year because that's their best month, and the work they do is around the beginning of the year, or it may be Christmas because that's their best month, or it may be summer because they're touring or they're doing stuff abroad or they're doing retreats, you know, or where is it? Where's the heart? What month is it? If your heart had to be a month, where would it reside in your business? You know, I hope that question makes sense, but you know, it would tell you where your most powerful time is. And I'll leave you with that. So I was going to talk more about Oracle cards, but what I will say is, I'm sure you guys have an Oracle card deck or a tarot card deck. If it's not your thing and you're Christian, I'm sure you have some Psalms or some text in the Bible that you use. And what I would also advise is that when you are settling for your day, I know people say their prayers, like when you're working for specific problems or you're going to do some admin or stuff, you know, open a psalm. Or for people that have oracle cards or positive affirmation cards, you know, choose a card and just see what's going on with you. You might be very much surprised. Okay? It's Marilyn signing off. Until next week. You want to be part of an incubator of some amazing creative women, then you need to join the highly capable creative one-to-one program with me. To join, you can just contact me at www.mjfontaine.co.uk and book a sales call with me to join this amazing 6-month program where we get to work on your creative business. We also get to work clearing your blocks and also bringing that confidence up to 100 so you can stand in your agency and live your best life.